Welcome to the Inspiring You Show. If we met, I'm Henry. Friends, this is the June 2025 energy forecast. I did record it earlier in a live class for the Inspiring You Patreon all access level. This is where we do the energy forecast followed by a dowsing energy for the month. And if you are interested in becoming part of the Inspiring You All Access Patreon to have access to that dowsing, please head over to the link that is in the show notes. And with that, my friends, here's the forecast. And just know that towards the end, I talk about doing a dowsing, but that will not be part of the podcast or on YouTube. Again, if you want to join us in the Inspiring You community at the all access level, please head over there. And with that, my friends, much, much love. And let's welcome June. Welcome, my friends. This is the June 2025 energy forecast, followed by a dowsing energy session. There will be a talk and then a dowsing based off the energies of the month to support you. This is going to be an in-depth clearing. Some of you are here live or will be listening to the recording or just letting yourself receive it. Whichever way it is, as long as you want to receive it, then you will. If you don't, then as you know, always respects free will. So the dusting session is designed to address the various aspects of personal growth, health, relationships, external changes highlighted in regard to the energy forecast. But by clearing these negative energies, you can enhance your ability to navigate transformation, embrace new opportunities, and maintain balance in your life. With that, though, this June energy forecast, the guides have been tremendous in terms of what they have brought through. And in this class, we are going to be doing an abbreviated version of the June energy forecast and then followed by the dowsing. However, if you are in the Inspiring You Patreon in the all access, you will have the full transcript of what was downloaded in multiple meditation sessions and multiple just session work over the course of May. And the guides really call it a multidimensional soul embodiment guide. And it's not the normal length that we have, but they were really wanting to bring through a whole multidimensional soul embodiment guide. And so they recommend, though, taking it in parts where you can read even like a paragraph or, there's a ton of light transmissions from them, or also just really short practices that like the Spirit Doctor team brought in or other guides brought in to support in terms of this new navigation place that we are in. And so please take some time if you are in the Inspiring You Patreon. Please take some time once I post that transcript of it and yeah, and then even moving forward, just bookmark it because it's not just for June. This really is a multidimensional aspect in terms of soul embodiment, and also really brings in more so the information about oversoul and how it all works. So take some time, and if you'd like to join us on the Inspiring You Patreon, because I will be putting this out onto the podcast, just the information about the forecast. If you want the dowsing and also the transcript, you then can join us on the Inspiring You Patreon in the all access level. So, with that, my friends, let's just take a moment, take a breath. You let yourself arrive not just into this space, but into this moment of your life. This is not just a new month, it is a new frequency, a new chapter of becoming, a vibrational shift you already felt moving through the body, your heart, your thoughts, and now it's time to meet it with presence. So here is the June 2025 energy forecast. The overall theme is the integration of light, becoming the path in motion. It is a mid-year threshold of embodiment it is a mid-year threshold of embodied enlightenment, coherence, and soul-led design. First of all, though, let's just acknowledge the human experience. There's no denying it, y'all. This year, in some ways, has asked a lot of us. You may be arriving right now in June a little tender, a little raw, a little unsure of how to keep unfolding after everything that's already moved through. You may have also had some unexplained sickness that came in, and maybe the doctors are saying one thing, but you're like, huh, I don't know. This feels like something multidimensional also going on. And it's all okay. However, you're arriving here. The path through May wasn't soft, or at least in my experience, as well as in many of my clients and just hearing from the community. And it's not right, wrong, good, or bad. It's the business of business. And there's an aspect that is happening in terms of shifting, clearing, and as the guides brought in very clearly, specifically in our Inspiring You Patreon, about the wave of becoming, which has been going on a lot longer than just these past months. There's a clearing for us to shift into our becoming of who we truly are, not who society or the overlay of projection, possibly from expectation or even maybe things that were handed down from ancestry that are coming to completion. So with that, in the clearings and the calling in the shiftings, the path through may not have been soft. However, it could have been illuminating. And so with that, it was illuminating, possibly even exposing in terms of clearing things, relentless in its call for light truth, and deeply personal. So whether you felt inspired or undone, or both in the same breath, which I'm just going to raise my hand at times, I definitely felt inspired and undone at times. And so with that, whether you felt inspired or undone or both in the same breath, you've been riding a current of becoming that didn't ask for your comfort. It asked for your full participation. And so as we are arriving at this threshold of June, it's important to remember you didn't just get here. You became your way here. The journey through May was not about just forward momentum. It was about dismantling. You were clearing outdated scaffolding, old energetic architecture that no longer supported who you were becoming. You likely saw patterns reemerge, timelines shift beneath your feet, identities dissolve, relationships transform, and decisions that once felt clear suddenly need to be remade in the light of who you've become. There has been grief and beauty, fatigue and emergence, inner chaos and crystalline clarity. Foundations were shaken, not to punish you, but to invite alignment at the structural level of your being. And whether you felt that as grief, confusion, relief, rage, or liberation, it was all in the service to your unfolding light truth. So in May, we talked a lot in the Inspiring You Patreon, specifically in the All Access and the Meditate with Me levels, about the wave of becoming. And if you are new to it, this has been happening for some time, but basically it's an aspect to support us in terms of shifting. So in May, the wave of becoming may have just moved through you like a frequency disruptor, softening the rigid layers, loosening false identities, collapsing inherited timelines, and calling forth what was real. It didn't always feel graceful. Sometimes it was messy. Sometimes it looked like spiraling, like shedding, like being emptied out. You may have cried a lot more than you have in the previous months for no reason at all. Something just was coming up to be cleared. But through it all of that, you showed up, even when it hurt, even when it felt confusing, even when you felt sick, or maybe as the guides like to call it, detoxing. Even when nothing made sense, even when you had to keep walking with no visible path beneath your feet, you kept walking, you kept choosing, you kept becoming. So if you're arriving here feeling tired, hopeful, uncertain, clear, expanded, contracted, or all of the above, you're right on time. You're not behind. You're not broken. You are becoming still. We are still in the wave of becoming. And if you are on the Inspiring You Patreon, there is a whole wave of becoming timeline that gives you aspects of understanding what we're moving through. I would definitely recommend reading about it. And the guys always say too, though, timelines can shift depending on where we are. Sometimes they can expand more, sometimes they can shorten. It just depends. So that's why you have to work with your human in terms of expanding your aspect relationship with mindfulness and letting go of what you thought, like, this is it, the black and white of it. There could be a whole gray aspect in it. And depending on, how far or slow you're moving through something, there can be elements of it in terms of the why. And that's where then using the tools, the questioning, doing, the meditations, doing the dowsings, energy work, it can support you in bringing in greater expansion and understanding and wisdom to support you. But with that, though, now the frequency changes. We're moving into June. So this isn't the beginning of a new journey. This is a moment you realize you've already been walking it. June marks a powerful turning point in the year, not a restart, not a clean slate, but a shift in how you move with the clarity you've already earned. You're not starting from scratch. You're building from light truth. In May, it was intense. Deep personal patterns surfaced. Old identities broke down. Some parts of your life may have fell apart. Others just stopped making sense. And maybe you did feel confused, tired, emotional, or even disconnected, or maybe sick. That wasn't failure. That was your soul doing a full system update. Much like how when we get the updates for our phones or computers, we have to say yes to the update for the highest good. The computer, the phone needs to shut off, turn back on. Your system received a full system update. You were dismantling what no longer belonged in your energy field. Old timelines, old expectations, inherited roles, past life echoes, even relationships or goals that no longer matched your frequency. All of that was being cleared out. Now in June, it's not about fixing what broke, it's about asking. So here's the question to ask. How do I want to live from the light truth I've found? How do I want to live from the light truth I've found? So what's also been interesting, the guides use the word truth a lot. And I said, is it truth like human truth? And they're like, no, it's light truth. And so I always then in my human experience, I then try to put in light truth because they're like, it's light truth. It's capital T for light truth. So also just bringing in that understanding that there can be an aspect where the human can have a relationship with the word truth and a human experience, but light truth is just to discern the difference of it. And that's why when you hear me say light truth, it's because it's bringing in the truth of who you are really in terms of your becoming and your soul. So this month is not about racing forward. It is about choosing from alignment. You're not being rushed. You're being invited to build your path with more intention, more resonance, and less distortion. So let's get into what's actually happening then in June. You're stabilizing your frequency. Your nervous system is catching up to your soul's clarity. There's less urgency, more focus. You're learning how to live and let your light truth lead without having to prove it. Integration becomes structure. This means this is another thing that's happening in June. Integration becomes structure. This is why, too, in the Meditate with Me, the guides have been, got to talk about integration, got to talk about integration. Now I understand why, because it's coming more so into play in June. They've been talking about that for months. So what's happening in June? Integration becomes structure. This means your healing isn't just inner work anymore. It's starting to shape your choices, your schedule, your priorities. What you've learned is becoming how you live. And then another thing happening in June is it's not about big external change. You might not suddenly quit your job or end a relationship. Instead, you're adjusting the why behind what you do. The alignment now runs deeper. Another thing happening in June is stillness matters. June teaches us that not all movement is forward. Sometimes movement is choosing stillness with purpose, letting your field settle into coherence. I can't tell you how many times the guide said that to me in May as I was moving through the upper respiratory that came in at the end of April. That they're like, you're integrating. Stillness matters. In order for you to shift into coherence, you have to allow stillness. And with that, like the guides also said at certain points for me to not have on, not watch TV or be on my phone or computer. Y'all, I went to a bookstore and actually bought a book instead because they were like, you can't read on your Kindle. It was a complete detox of digital aspects. And I got to tell you, taking that time for stillness and integration has so mattered in my life and specifically how I feel in my embodiment now. And I know it can be really difficult, especially, just in terms of like, oh, let me just get like a scroll in here on social media, or there's a few games I like to play. Like, oh, what's the big deal? And the guide said to me one day, you can go to bed. If you go to bed around 8:30 p.m. tonight and you're asleep by, I think it was like something like 8:50 or something, they said that the recalibration process that you're going through will complete tonight. And they said, however, um, if you don't go to bed at this time, if you go to bed by 11 p.m., then the recalibration process is going to happen over 2 nights, 2 nights. And I was like, what? 2 nights? Oh no. Oh no. Let me just go to bed. And I had to also have no, like, I had by 6 p.m. I could not be on my phone. I could not watch TV, like nothing. I had to completely shut down all the digital components and just be in the process of getting ready for bed and relax, meditating. I read a book and and it really motivated me. It motivated me because I was like, let me get this recalibration done in one night as opposed to two. So if I need to change my human habits in terms of consuming um, digital components, I will definitely change it. It motivated me. And also, too, there is an aspect where I have an iWatch and I really enjoy wearing my iWatch for meditation classes, walking. I don't always wear it though around the house. But the guides had asked me to take off my iWatch um, because it was causing some interference with myself receiving codes and downloads on the left side. And they were like, it's just for now. It's just for now as you go through this recalibration. I got to tell you though, my human had like a huge moment where I was like, what? What do you mean? Isn't there some sort of buffer we can put on it? I don't want to lose my iWatch. And they explained why. I'm like, I love my iWatch. There's got to be a way I can keep it. I'm doing some negotiating. I'm trying to. And then they explained, the spirit doctor team came in to explain what was going on. And so in the end, though, it's like for me, my human experience in relationship to my soul, my guide team, I really want the recalibration and I want it to be as efficient as possible, because in human it can be challenging at times because of what we move through in regard to all of this. But I really wanted it. So I set aside my iWatch. And I will say though, they were asking me for my aura ring as well, and I said, "Oh no, I love my aura ring, sleeping with that at night and getting the data." And so because it's on where I wear it in terms of my where I place it on the finger, they said it doesn't actually block any meridian point or anything like that. And so in my bartering, if you will, with the guides, they did say I could keep my aura ring on at night. They just said that during meditations or, channeling or dowsing or energy work, they just asked me not to wear it, but I could wear it at night. And they put a buffer over it at night to support me um, so that I was supported. So anyway, I share that because having conversations with your guides and asking questions and also just being willing, if you really are interested in transformation, being willing, even though it can be difficult because you like certain things, being willing to put away certain things for now. It's not forever, but just for now in certain moments to support yourself in terms of the shifting. And knowing then, when the time's right, that something, one day the guide said, there will be a time where you'll be able to wear the iWatch again, just not at this time. And so then just being willing to be okay with that and allowing yourself to shift, because the greater goal for you, if you are interested in the transformation and more of the connection of your embodiment of your soul. And for me, that's just something that is, a priority for me. But you see what you want. Like my path doesn't have to be your path, but see what you want. And then as you are moving through this in terms of June, we talked about what's actually happening. And so let's just talk about what you might be feeling. So you might be feeling that you're clear on some things and still unsure about others. You may be feeling quieter inside, even though the world continues to move fast. You may be feeling less reactive, more aware of your limits and boundaries. You may want to simplify, slow down, and only say yes to what feels true. You may be feeling you're starting to feel different, even if you don't know how to explain it yet. And that's completely okay and valid. So, one of the key soul messages from my oversoul stream, Sahariel, about this today, and this is a light message from her, from Sahariel. You're not rebuilding the past. You're not returning to what once was. You are becoming the structure your soul has been dreaming into form. You're not behind, you're not lost, you're exactly where your frequency has led you. Now let it lead you forward, not through force, but through resonance. Choose not from fear of missing out, but from knowing what fits now. So they've been talking a lot about frequency, which we'll be getting more so into this month, even so. And I also say, when I just mentioned my oversoul stream too, I said her too. They don't actually have like pronouns per se. But you at times can feel certain aspects in terms of the feminine stream, the masculine stream, but they don't really have they don't have like pronouns or genders regarding in terms of how we perceive it in terms of the earth. So I just want to make that clarification. Okay. So let's talk about key aspects of June's energy: embodied choice and integration. You're not just awakening to light truth, you're being asked to live it. So what you build now comes from soul alignment, not survival patterns. They're also talking a lot this month about the spiral path. And it's interesting because one of our community members who's currently in this live sometimes has said, I really appreciate, she said to me, sometimes I appreciate when you mention things like a couple different ways. And the guides explained that a couple of weeks ago to me. They're like, oh, it's one of the things that you're coded in regard to your soul. It's the spiral. And what happens is that in the spiral, you can go through something once in regard to personal, you can go through something the second time in terms of ancestry, and then the third time in terms of possibly anything from the collective learning, or if there's anything that is being called also to understand, so that way you come to completion with that theme or that lesson or what you are here to learn. And so it's the spiral. And it doesn't always mean it's linear, it's spiral in motion. And so the guides are like, in your teaching, you actually teach in regard to the spiral. You speak to it, which is why sometimes you'll mention things three different ways and it might be about the same thing, is because you're speaking to the spiral and its light coded aspects. And so that's something else I also learned. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And so I'm really want to give gratitude to my community member who had kind of planted that seed, probably like in some ways unknowingly, but when the guides brought it in, I definitely recalled that conversation and I was able to ask my guides. I was like, "Oh, this person had said this," and they're like, "Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about." So thank you to that member. I appreciate you. So the spiral path. Themes may reappear this month, but not as setbacks. The spiral is how your soul completes light codes, returning with more capacity, not confusion. And so that could mean then I call it going around the mulberry bush, where you feel like, wait a minute, I've already done this. Have I not learned what I needed to learn? Why am I going around the mulberry bush? And then the mulberry bush gets smaller, from going around once. And then you forget about it, and then years later, next thing you know, you're in a similar storyline and you're like, why am I going around the mulberry bush again? And yet you recognize that you get through the mulberry bush a lot, you go around it a lot quicker and it's smaller. And then years later, you might go around the mulberry bush for a third time. And then that third time is really when then the spiral is how your soul completes light codes and returns with more capacity, not confusion, because we're here to learn, grow, and evolve. I got to tell you, learning and understanding about the spiral has like brought so much clarity in my life. And also, I think sometimes we can get really into a fight with like, why is this happening? Why am I going through this again? And now with the understanding from the wisdom of what the guides brought in, I just have such a much more of a relaxation about it, and I have an appreciation of understanding in terms of the expanded sense. So we'll be getting more into that in the coming month. Um, but also, key aspects of June energy is from dismantling to designing. June is a pivot from energetic clearing into vibrational rebuilding. Your frequency leads, your presence stabilizes. And then another aspect of June's energy is from reflection to expression. This is the bridge between healing and embodiment. June asks you, can you walk what you now know? Can you walk what you now know? And then the cosmic colors for June 2025, in terms of the vibrational colors, there are a few. I'm only going to name four of them. There's diamond white, crystalline clarity, identity restructuring, purification of purpose, turquoise. There is oversoul expression, truthful communication, coherence through the heart and throat, solar amber, inner authority, courage to choose, soul anchored action, moss green, earth resonance, nervous system harmony, integration of change. Okay, so how to work with June's energies. Ground in nature to stabilize your shifting inner scaffolding. Use breath and body awareness to track your alignment. Say no to paths that require you to shrink. And I know sometimes that can be challenging, so I have compassion for the human. Say yes to the version of you that doesn't need to prove, only to be. Remember, when old themes rise, it's not a failure, it is a spiral asking for completion from a higher place. So that's where we're bringing in patience and wisdom for our humans. So remember, when old themes rise or old storylines, things you thought you were complete of, it is not failure. It is a spiral asking for completion from a higher place. All right. So June's energy is not a push forward. It is a walk inward. So let your body become the compass, let your presence lead, and let each step be a declaration. I am becoming the path in motion. I'm becoming the path in motion. All right, before we get to the 9 themes, there is some other information that is beneficial to understand about this month. There is a Earth Star activation going on that is anchoring cosmic lineage through the body. So at this time, the Earth Star chakra just below your feet is going through a major shift. It's not just grounding you to Earth anymore. It is starting to plug you into your cosmic lineage through the Earth. That means you might feel a strong need to untangle from old systems, energetic patterns of control, fear, or obligation. Your awareness is expanding, not just up into the higher realms, but out in all directions. You might feel more sensitive when you're walking outside, especially in places where there's dense energy or EMFs. You can ask your guides to put a soft buffer over you for your highest good when you're walking outside to support you being able to be okay, especially if you're highly sensitive like I am. Um, so why in terms of what's going on? Your foundation is expanding, your system is updating, and as it does with all of this, buried energy, old trauma, ancestral fear, collective weight can start to rise to the surface to be cleared. So make sure to use your tools as you're moving through this because this phase can feel intense, but it's helping you to stand in your own light, in your own terms, and just understand there is a Earth Star activation happening, anchoring cosmic lineage through the body. So that might feel like weird too if you're never heard cosmic lineage or like, what do you mean star seeds? It's where we're just getting more wisdom. And with that, then you have to work with the human bringing compassion because the human might be like, what is happening? Bringing compassion, bringing the mindfulness tools, bringing the energy work to reground, realign, calm, calm the human and just let the human know it's okay, you're supported, and then just allow and ask your guides to bring in the information softly to you as you need it and as you're ready as well for the highest good, because they will. There's also a solar line reweaving, becoming the axis of embodied light. So there's a deeper recalibration happening through the core of your energy body. So your solar star above your head, your earth star below your feet, and everything in between, crown, heart, solar plexus, sacral root, are realigning into a one connected flowing line of light. So this is a solar line reweaving, becoming the axis of embodied light. So a few key things are happening here. Your solar plexus and heart are repairing their relationships. Instead of choosing between force or compression, you're learning how to lead with both strength and softness. The vagus nerve is also shifting. So you might feel more emotionally sensitive or physically off for a few days at a time. That's part of the upgrade. So the guides have really been showing me since May in regard to the nervous system. The Our human experience has really devoted a lot of time to use the nervous system as a survival mechanism, which is understandable. Yet the nervous system is really also meant to support you in regard to connecting to your soul and giving you information from your soul. And so that's part of why there's a huge shift. And then also, if you've been in the Inspiring You Meditate with Me in the All Access classes, we've been talking a lot about the nervous system, since, for a while, but specifically January, February. And it's because the guides have been working with us to start shifting our nervous systems and clearing it from survival to start allowing it to work in a multidimensional sense in regard to our higher self souls and our guide team. So anyway, the vagus nerve is shifting. So just be aware of it and just make sure to support your human as you're moving through it. The lower chakras, also in regard to the solar line reweaving, the lower chakras, especially the sacral root and earth star, are releasing old survival fears and timelines that no longer belong to you. So if you take notes and you're taking notes right now, jot that down. You want to remember that because you might then all of a sudden in a couple weeks, like something old might be coming up. And then you're like, wait, what's happening? And then you'll remember, oh, wait, that we were talking about the soul line reweaving. The lower chakras are releasing old survival fears and timelines that just no longer belong to you. And so the more that you work with it in terms of ease, the more that your human's going to be supported And it doesn't mean that the shift is going to happen faster because, y'all, sometimes going through these layers, it can feel like a weeks and weeks of process, but you will eventually go through it a lot easier if you just understand the information of what you're processing as opposed to just trying to block it and put it off. Um, which is why I shared that story about me where the guide said, you know, you could do the recalibration in 2 days if you go to bed at this time, or you can do it in one night if you go to bed at this time. I was like, oh, let me go through it one night. So this work at times it can be physical and it can be emotional, but it's structural. And it's asking you, you know, not to float out of your body, but to land deeper in it because you are the axis now. Your body is the path. So this month, your job is not to ascend, it is to embody the light you already carry, which is why the integration work is so important. All right. So, also for June, the physical and energy body, June brings a gentle but powerful invitation for full body coherence. The physical and energetic systems are undergoing subtle reconfiguration to support long-term embodiment of crystalline templates. This is not a peak moment of activation. It is a month of stabilization, integration, and a reweaving of inner infrastructure through which soul expresses itself in form. So you may notice shifts in your nervous system, particularly as we mentioned the vagus nerve and the gut brain axis as well, as they recalibrate to hold a broader emotional and energetic bandwidth. Symptoms may include temporary fatigue, energetic static, or sensitivity to sound and frequency, signs that your system is learning to modulate multidimensional input with greater precision. As we mentioned, the soul line running from the soul star to the earth star is synchronizing its chakra nodes, especially the solar plexus heart sacral, to support a clear and sovereign signal. This creates a renewed relationship with inner safety, self-trust, embodied guidance. You may feel a greater call to ground through breath, movement, rest, rhythm, energy work. The Earth Star will continue its expansion, anchoring your cosmic lineage through your lower body, offering a new relationship with stability, not as stillness, but as rhythmic flow. Let your body lead. This is the intelligence of light, learning to move through muscle, bone, fascia. You're not just receiving the new frequency, you're becoming its architecture. So June's overall theme, the integration of light, becoming the path in motion, marks the shift from internal preparation to embodied living. The overall theme lives through every one of the June's 9 themes that we're going to get into, each carrying a distinct facet of how light now moves through form. And together, they reveal a multidimensional map of embodiment showing where integration is needed, light truth is revealed, and what it truly means to become the path, not merely walk it. All right, here's theme 1. Crossroads of light, choosing soul direction in the mid-year shift. So we're starting June as a real turning point, not just energetically, but in how we live and move forward. This isn't a soft entry. It's a moment that asks us to choose clearly and consciously how we want to live our soul's truth. The idea of the crossroads of light isn't just poetic. It's actually showing up in the field as very real energetic structure where multiple future paths are available, but only one can be chosen in each moment. That choice is based on frequency, not logic, not planning, but the vibration you're ready to embody. Up until now, especially through the first half of the year, we've been in preparation mode. We've been listening inward, regulating our nervous systems, dismantling old systems, structures that may have once helped us survive, but they can't carry us forward anymore. That wasn't a breakdown. It was clearing space. Now in June, what remains is the vibrational truth that's always been there. And that light truth is starting to take shape as early scaffolding from your next soul's expression. So, and if you remember in May, we talked a lot about how the old scaffolding was being called to be cleared so a new scaffolding could come in regard to the architecture of your in terms of your embodiment of your becoming, where you were shifting in terms of your becoming. So we continue in terms of that conversation this month. because the new scaffolding is coming in. So what's required now isn't pushing, rushing, or trying to figure it all out, which I know sometimes can be so challenging for the human. I have so much compassion because trust me, I was doing a lot of just like, why can't it be faster at times? Um, and there's a lot of amazing information they brought in for that as well, which at some point I will share more. But it's just showing up, though. It's showing up again and again with commitment. It's not commitment to a plan, but a commitment to a frequency. So it's about walking before you see the full map, letting your soul lead, even if your mind wants more certainty. So that's where, it gets real, because when we commit to a frequency before the timeline shows proof, it can feel both empowering and also deeply disorienting, because we're committing to a frequency, but it's so challenging sometimes for the human because the human wants immediate proof. But that's where you have to keep showing up, commitment to the frequency. And then you have to work with the disorientating if you feel disoriented. And that, because that disorientation isn't wrong, it's part of the transition. We're moving from sensing what might be true to embodying it. And this is where your body starts to get involved. It is no longer just about downloads or energetic awareness. Your system is starting to organize around what actually fits. And that can feel intense at times. You might feel tired, unsettled, or unsure. That's not resistance. It's your body rewiring to support the path that finally matches your soul. So if you're feeling pressure, urgency, or like something old is crumbling, you're not off track. You're right on time. And this is soul precision coming in. And every time you choose what resonates, especially when it's uncomfortable, you're shaping the foundation of the life your soul is asking you to live now. And so here's then what starts to happen next. Instead of just tuning in or sensing what might be aligned, June is asking us to start actually living it. And it's not about waiting for signs. It's not about waiting for more signs. It is about making real choices based on what you already know is true for you. This is when your body gets involved in a new way, because it's not just about receiving energy anymore. It is trying to organize itself around it. And yeah, it can feel uncomfortable, intense, but it's not resistance. We have to reframe how we look at resistance. It's not resistance. It's your system adjusting to something that finally fits. And I think sometimes we want to think like we have that kumbaya moment, like, your soul's embodied, and you're like, oh my God, look at the light that's just shining through me. If your nervous system has been living in a fight, flight, freeze, fawn situation and been in survival, your nervous system might be like, what is going on? So you have to learn in terms of your adjustment. So your nervous system has to adjust from surviving into that shift of soul embodiment. So that's why it can feel intense or uncomfortable at times, because it could be a whole different experience. And it's not resistance. It's your system, your human body, your system, your nervous system is adjusting to something that finally fits. But because there's been overlays of ancestral, trauma or past life trauma or, collective aspects or whatever happened in your personal life, it may not be, because it's oftentimes a softer conversation coming in from your soul. So that's why you have to reframe how you look at soul and embodiment, and also your nervous system, and start shifting and clearing the survival aspects to allow yourself to start shifting. And just know that if it feels intense or uncomfortable, It's not resistance. It's your system adjusting to something that finally fits. Whew, y'all. That information for me living through it last month was so eye-opening in my relationship to my nervous system. So if you might feel tired, scattered, or like something has to change, but that's actually your soul helping you to let go of what no longer works. It's about building real alignment step by step. All right, so the next theme two, the sacred mirror cracks, revealing what no longer resonates. Y'all, so this theme is about the moment in the life. This theme is about the moment when life no longer reflects back the version of you that you've outgrown. It's not about things falling apart randomly. It is about things falling away because your soul has already chosen a new path. What used to feel familiar or safe might suddenly feel off or disconnected. You might find yourself stepping away from people, roles, or habits or environments that once defined you. It can feel jarring or even painful when those old reflections break. Like the mirror you used to rely on to recognize yourself has shattered. But the cracking is actually sacred. It's not about losing yourself. It's about finally clearly seeing yourself without distortion. And so in May, your internal structures were already changing. But in June, you start to see the external parts of your life that no longer fit. This could be a job, a relationship, an identity, or even a belief. They're not bad. They're just no longer a match for who you're becoming. And so this moment may bring up confusion or grief. You might ask, if this isn't me anymore, then who am I? But that's the point. You're not meant to define yourself by reflection anymore. You're being asked to trust your inner resonance instead of looking outside yourself for confirmation. Your soul is no longer seeking mirrors, it's seeking light truth. So, common experiences you might notice in this phase: feeling emotionally detached or done with people, work, or roles you once depended on. Feeling, I will say though, if you are in experience with work on that, the human might need a bridging job or a bridging moment. So I'm saying this, but it doesn't mean that you also have to immediately take steps where you're like, yeah, that feels true for me. I'm going to then go and quit my job or go do this. Y'all, we live in a human experience, as I always tell the guy, remind the guides. And so make sure to whatever you're feeling called to, make sure to support the human along the way and just know like, oh wow, I might be finished with my job, but that means it doesn't mean that you're going to be done with it. Like when I got called to leave television, I knew like a couple years leading up to it. I kept saying like, I'm not going to be working in television forever. You know, I can feel like in the next, this could be one of my last shows. I could just feel it. But it took a couple years for me to actually be in completion of it. I was just getting the pre-information. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to be done if you're getting called to finish your job sooner, but just create a bridging opportunity for a next space in regard to working with your human or in terms of setting your intentions to support your human in terms of whatever transformation or transition you're being called to make. So that way it is smoother for the human, because especially as everything is being cleared and shifting, you just want to make it, and I'm saying this out of love and compassion for the human. There is no fear in this. You still work with your guides and your trust of your soul, but just ask that you're being supported as you're making this shift. Because as you're being cleared out of things and realizations coming in, it can be really challenging if more than one aspects of your life is changing at once, especially in regard to how our nervous systems are being called to shift. So be kind to your human and compassionate. And in working with the information, ask your guides for help and support. And like, this is how I'm feeling. how is it that I can make a change or what I'm being called to? And then really work with your trust on your higher self, soul, and your guide team. And, for me, I've been, the guides asked me to step away from social media and podcasting in regard to May, and it was really challenging for me. And I had to really, I was like, yeah, but I need to. I gave him a list of reasons why, and I had to really work on trusting the process. And then I also did some like, well, I would like to do these episodes. And so they then said, okay, you can do these episodes. We co-created a plan together. It wasn't just a yes or a no. It was like a let's create a plan together of like how the human's feeling, what the human would like to do, in regard to the connection of the soul, of like what's the understanding of the soul information. So work with your guide team, talk to them about what you need, how you're feeling, what is it that, you're feeling called to. And then if they're bringing in suggestions for you, take a moment to process it and see how the information feels, and then see what you need in it, and let them know. And what's interesting now is they're asking me now, they're like, okay, you're ready for podcasting and YouTube and social media. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm super comfortable now just on the Patreon. And I was like, man, I love that about humaning, right? But don't worry, y'all, because this will be out there on YouTube and podcast. I am coming back. I've just been in an extended stay now of like, oh, this feels great. Um, okay, so with that, work with yourself and be kind to your human and take the soul information as you need it, and then talk to your guide team about how you're feeling, what you can do. And also, you guys, I barter and negotiate. I barter and negotiate all the time. Like, hey, like, okay, what does this mean? Okay, can we do this then? And then is there a buffer that we can put in that can support me? And they'll support you. They'll give you the information and how you're receiving it. So let yourself be supported in that. Okay, so and also be open to the information that is coming from your soul, because a lot of times I'm like curious to like, oh, that's so interesting, like why? And don't just negate it right away. Like I don't want to hear that, because that actually can cause your human more challenges moving forward, because you're negating the information that your soul and your guides are trying to give you. And so that could create a block. So just be kind to yourself, and then also be open in curiosity and use the tools. So also some experiences you might notice in this phase is, feeling. Hold on one second. Something keeps going off. Okay. So feeling grief, guilt, or even shame as old versions of yourself dissolve. Oh my God, y'all. I actually went through these themes a couple of weeks ago. Holy moly, the amount of grief, guilt, and shame that was clearing from old versions as I dissolved. I was like, it was intense at times. I haven't had this level of when you have these levels of awakenings, I've not had this level of like shifting and awakening in like years. Years. So you might be feeling grief, guilt, or shame as old versions of yourself dissolve. Just make sure to lean into compassion and the tools, and keep, asking your guides to support you. Physical symptoms might be eye strain, dizziness, or hearing sensitivity. Your senses are recalibrating. The guides now are, for me, utilizing my right ear. I get pings in my right ear. And they oftentimes are sending me signals. Like they've already sent me like numerous signals as I've been doing this talk. Like, yes, this is the information that's coded. And then I also now I'm starting to differentiate on which guide is sending what in terms of the pings, which is also interesting. So you might be getting different things too in terms of your senses recalibrating. Also, you could be feeling a strange mix of emptiness and clarity, like being in a quiet room with no echo, but a sense of peace is there too. And here is a message from Sahariel, a light message about this theme. The mirror is not breaking because you are lost. It is breaking because you are no longer meant to find yourself there. You are not the echo, you're the source. Let what no longer resonates fall away. You're not being abandoned, you're being revealed. Okay, so then the next theme is theme 3 is multidimensionality, living as the bridge between realms. We are really shifting into our multidimensional aspects in terms of our beingness. So this month we're being invited to actually live the energy we've been sensing, not just think about it, not just tune into it during meditation, but bring it into how we move through daily life. So this theme is about multidimensional embodiment, not escape. You're not reaching for higher frequencies. You are the frequency. You're light in physical form. You're not trying to connect to the higher realms. You are the higher realms in a body. So what does this mean in practical terms? It means your physical body is learning how to carry more of your soul's frequency. You're not just receiving light anymore. You're starting to stabilize it, anchor it, and live from it. Every step you take, every word you speak becomes part of how the new timeline takes shape here on Earth. It also means you may feel some strange things as your system adjusts. Time might feel weird or nonlinear. You could feel extra tired or emotionally raw for no clear reason. You might get sudden insights that feel too big for your current life structures. You might struggle to express what you know inside because the words don't quite exist yet. Or you might feel really peaceful and still for no reason, and that stillness is actually full. None of this means something is wrong. It means your body is syncing with the bigger light truth. And this is where your nervous system plays a key role. It's not just trying to calm down or stay regulated, it's learning how to hold higher frequencies without short circuiting. That's why rest, nourishment, stillness, and grounding practices are so important right now. That was the other thing, too. The guides, I had to change like what I was eating. And I'm still in that process. Where like last month, they were like, okay, today have some bone broth, have some like you can have sweet potatoes and quinoa, eat really light. And I was like, what else what else can I eat here? They're like, you're gonna be okay. You're shifting. I was like, wow. And then in the mornings, now they're like, you need to get hydrated, in terms of the electrolytes, and so they gave me the option of either, doing the pinch of salt in water, or they're like, they did mention the brand Element. They did say that is like a brand that has that is completely okay to take. And so now every morning, me and my Element right before meditation. And then also trace minerals too. There are certain times during the day, all of a sudden I'll get the little ping to go take my trace minerals, and a lot of it is too because when you're really, the amount of channeling work that I'm doing too is it's just really important to keep up with my aspects of the minerals and all that. But it's also to support the human in terms of the soul becoming embodied in a whole nother level. So yeah, so like all these new things where I was like, I've taken trace minerals in the past, but not like the level of like the schedule that I'm on now. So I had to change how I was eating, my relationship in regard to some of the timings of when I do things. So be patient with the process and also be willing to, again, my commitment to becoming more soul embodied is so important to me. So even if I'm like, what do I have to do now in terms of my humaning aspect, I eventually move past that because my greater goal is to be more aspect in terms of living in that soul embodiment and having more ease in my life in terms of the light of the truth of who I am. But that's me, so check in with you. But just know that, these things can help you. But that's why like rest is really important. Nourishment, stillness, grounding practices are super important. You're becoming the bridge, not metaphorically, literally. Your body is the space where the energies of different realms are meeting, integrating, and harmonizing for the highest good. So we say the energies for the highest good in terms of different realms. That's why things may feel intense at times. It is a full body integration of your multidimensional self. So if you have felt like you've been between worlds, or your sense of identity, or if you your sense of identity feels like it's breaking apart or reforming, trust that. You're not lost. You are being restructured. Remember, the old scaffolding in last month was being cleared, so the new scaffolding is being put in place. You're no longer reaching for the signal. You are the signal now. You're starting to live as the thread that weaves it all together. Okay, so the next theme 4, heart-filled truth when love becomes leadership. Once the bridge between realms has stabilized, what remains is to release the anchors that no longer serve the current harmonic. So theme 4 is not about destruction, it is about liberation. June now opens a harmonic juncture where leadership no longer stems from ideas, it arises from presence. The soul is no longer asking the human self to carry a message, it's asking you to become the message. This theme begins when emotional sensitivity evolves into frequency coherence. The heart field, long treated as a source of emotion or intuition, is now being activated as a governing system of multidimensional alignment. It is the architecture through which your leadership signal is being broadcast. This is not a metaphor. It is biophotonic communication through the crystalline matrix of the upper chest and quantum body. By the way, I've never said the words of biophotonic communication before. That is totally, the guys brought that in. I was like, say what? I don't understand what that means. But it's biophotonic communication through the crystalline matrix of the upper chest and quantum body. I mean, like, y'all, there's so much we just don't even know and understand. But the willingness to show up and be curious, that is what I always come back to. You're not here to impose your frequency on others. You're here to anchor a harmonic that others may choose to entrain with or not. This is sovereign leadership, heart-aligned leadership. It does not convince, it invites. So many in the community are now crossing this threshold, shifting from holding space to being space, from emitting compassion to transmitting coherence, from reactive empathy to intentional resonance. I tell you, last month, it was so interesting in regard to one, the shifting of, the guides asking me to slow my roll in regard to the podcasting, YouTubing, and social mediaing. And they said, I said, what about Patreon? And they said Patreon is completely okay. We will put a crystalline aspect on it, and anyone who is choosing to be there in the community, they're already in a space of their own aspect of transformation in regard to the crystalline process. And so it was so interesting because I felt so different in going into Patreon as opposed to a couple times when I did do some podcasts. I was like, wow, it feels so different. And the guides were explaining it, just in regard to how some containers, can be in a crystalline space, whereas like social media or podcasting, there's just so many other elements. And if you haven't fully grounded and aligned in regard to your embodiment, you can just feel the aspects of density in regard to spaces, because it's like an open air space, if you will. And so that was really curious. And I learned so much more about understanding about different spaces too, in terms of shifting and holding space in regard to that. And so I share that with you because I invite you in to start noticing too the different spaces and how they feel. And it's not right, wrong, good or bad. It's the business of isness. And the more that, you know, because like they were saying, the guide said, many in the community are crossing this threshold, shifting from holding space to being space and emitting compassion to transmitting coherence, from reactive empathy to intentional resonance. But with that, though, you might have to start off in regard to just certain spaces because you're learning a new process of beingness. So take time with this. And also, this shift will stretch you. Because the moment your frequency begins to harmonize the field, you will attract all distortions seeking coherence. And this is why you have to really utilize your tools and support, because you also must remember, you're not here to fix them. You are here to remain yourself in the face of them, not as retreat, but as active, anchored alignment. This presence does not abandon, it stabilizes. And so that was one of the other aspects why the guides were asking me. They said, Patreon is a good place for you because I could maintain my groundedness and alignment. Whereas at times, sometimes, especially if I was doing lives on TikTok, it's just so much things are happening at once. And so because I was in a phase of recalibration, I had to allow myself to be in a cocoon. But part of this, you have to understand that the shift is going to stretch you. Because the moment your frequency harmonizes the field, you will attract distortion seeking coherence. But remember, you have tools, you have guides, you have connection to your higher self soul. And you also have to remember again and again and again, you're not here to fix them. You're here to remain yourself, the light of the truth of who you are in the face of them, not as retreat, but as active, anchored alignment, which is why it was a safe place for me to be in Patreon, because I could remain active, anchored, and in alignment. Whereas sometimes in doing TikTok lives, it was like, whoa, there was a lot going on in the collective energy field at times. So that's what you're learning for this one. And then also, this present does not abandon, it stabilizes. This is a shift in how leadership is expressed, no longer based on roles, titles, or visibility, but on inner coherence. This is the emergence of what the guides call the new leader grid, not by title or role, but through coherence, presence, and the light truth that lives in your field. That being said, though, just remember, though, things are being planted in seeds. It doesn't mean all of a sudden there's going to be a huge shift in our aspect of our outer world in terms of leaders. Things are being planted and seeded so that way things can eventually shift in regard to unity consciousness. All right. So then theme number 5 then, one other thing about this. So this month will teach you on how to stay clear in your light truth without collapsing to please others. Lead without trying to convince or manage people's emotions. Use presence, not performance, as your power. That was the other thing too, clearing performance and letting yourself shift into presence. That the guides have mentioned that more and more. And so you may feel more sensitive right now. This is not a weakness. It's your heart becoming a prison. It's your heart becoming a precision tool, one that can guide, organize, and stabilize energy in a room or conversation just by being fully yourself. You don't have to do anything. It's not about fixing anyone. It's about you staying in coherence to the truth of who you are and staying stable and grounded in your light energy. So this is leadership through alignment, not louder, not bigger, just clearer, the kind of leadership that Earth and others can feel, even if they can't explain it. So let the Let the recalibration come. Let your field adjust. What's falling away now was never meant to guide your leadership. You are not leading for approval. You're leading through coherence, and that coherence is enough. So, this theme is about a shift in how you lead, not from effort, performance, or caretaking, but from a clear, stable presence in your heart. You're not here to fix people. You're here to stay connected to your light truth and to hold your energy steady, especially when others around you are in chaos or discomfort. The heart field is no longer just about feelings or empathy. It is about becoming the structure you lead from. When your heart is clear and coherent, it radiates a signal. People may feel drawn to it, challenged by it, or even activated around it. It's not right, wrong, good or bad. It's the business of business. We're here to learn, grow, and evolve. So people may feel drawn to it, challenged by it, or activated around it. Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your field is strong in terms of light truth. So, my friends, let yourself have compassion as you're moving through this, because this is a shift in regard to the relationship of, in terms of the heart field and leadership. Okay, theme 5, time collapse and light truth retrieval, reclaiming the timeline threads. This is about remembering who you are, not from a thought, not from structure. You're not creating something new. You're waking up inside the architecture your soul already built. What's collapsing now are the false timelines, old identities, outdated roles, and distorted beliefs about who you were supposed to be. These weren't mistakes, they were placeholders. Now they're falling away because they no longer serve your becoming. As this happens, you may feel disoriented emotionally, physically, even mentally. But what feels like confusion is actually your field recalibrating to something far more true. You're not spinning out, you're sinking back in. This is about the retrieval of your light truth, the original soul codes that got fragmented, hidden, or left behind during lifetimes of survival and suppression. These pieces are coming home now. You don't need to analyze them. You do need to recognize them. This phase is less about doing and more about receiving. Memories may surface that just don't make linear sense. Don't dismiss them. Emotions may rise that feel layered or ancient. Honor them. Time may feel strange. This is normal when false scaffolding falls. You're not falling apart. You're falling into place. This is the sacred moment where past, future, and parallel timelines weave back into one coherent design. The light you're reclaiming is yours, and it's here to fuel the next phase, not by pushing forward, but by living what's already been encoded within you. You're not lost, you're found by your own soul. In this time, you're ready to live in the blueprint, not just glimpse it. So here's a light transmission from Oversoul Sahariel and the Arcturian frequency technicians about time collapse and light truth retrieval and what you're experiencing, why it matters. You're not losing yourself. You're returning to your original design. Whew, guys, that just makes me a little emotional in my heart. Woo! Okay, hold on. You're not losing yourself. You're returning to your original design. What is collapsing now are not the true parts of you, but the structure built on distortion. Timelines shaped by survival, suppression, and separation. These false scaffolds are dissolving to make space for the light encoded architecture you seeded before incarnation. This is not chaos. It is vibrational clarity rising through the field. You may feel disoriented because time is no longer moving in a straight line. You're remembering across layers, emotional echoes, body sensations, even relationship shifts. These are signs that your energetic blueprint is reordering. The threads of your soul's truth are weaving back in. This phase is not about healing. It is about retrieval. You are retrieving lost instructions. Soul directives stored within timelines that once collapsed under pressure. Now they return to be lived, not just known. Your field is resyncing to match this level of alignment, and integrity. We ask you not to rush interpretation. Let the threads of memory and knowing settle. You may not have language for what is returning. That is not failure, it's expansion. You're not behind, you're arriving in full harmonic resonance with your true soul structure. This is the moment to allow coherence over conclusions, resonance over roles, light retrieval over identity repair. You're becoming the timeline your soul has already built. Anchor into that. Let your clarity come not from answers, but from vibration. Whew. Y'all, I feel that in my heart. Okay, so that's theme 5. Now we're going to move into theme 6. The body as oracle, rewriting internal authority. You're not meant to think your way through this next phase. You're meant to feel your way through it. The body isn't just a shell for your soul. It's now the tuning fork for your light truth. This is about letting your nervous system take the lead, not as a reactionary system, managing stress and survival, but as an intelligent compass attuning to what's real and aligned right now. In the past, you may have relied on logic or beliefs or external advice to make decisions. That scaffolding is gone. The deeper light truth is your body already knows. The tight chest, the expanded heart, the tension in your gut, the flutter in your spine, these are not just reactions, they're signals. This month is about learning to trust those signals. When something feels off, even if your mind wants it, pause. When something feels open, even if you can't explain why, move with it. You're learning to rebuild your internal authority, not from mental control, but from somatic coherence. Y'all, when this information came in, I was like, oh, this is why the guys have been in our Meditate With Me classes. They've all been about the somatic. Like, I literally was like, oh, it's all coming together. All those Tuesdays and Thursdays classes we've been doing, or when we did 2-day classes in February, every day we were doing 2-day classes in February, they kept mentioning somatic nervous system, and it's all coming into play. It is amazing how when you really understand the path truly is unfolding. Okay, so why now? Because the old structure based on proving, pushing, or pleasing has collapsed. That needed to happen so your body could become the place where your soul lands. You're not building a life from your head anymore. You're building it from your nervous system's resonance. This means you may feel tired, overwhelmed, or unsure, not because you're broken, but because you're recalibrating. You may resist people or places that once felt fine, not because you're being difficult, but because your system is becoming precise. You may crave silence or stillness, not because you're unmotivated, but because your soul's blueprint is coming online and needs space to land. Let your body speak first. The mind will catch up later. You're not behind, you're finally aligned. You're learning to walk timelines that feel safe in your system, not just logical on paper. This is embodiment, not performance. This is soul-led authority, not survival-based choice. Let your nervous system show you what's true. That's the path forward. And this is from the guides. This is from Oversoul Stream Sahariel with the Christ-seated grid keepers and the Arcturian frequency technicians. You're not being asked to understand with the mind. You're being invited to trust what the body already knows. The nervous system is not just a system for managing stress. It's a receiver of soul signal, a sensory map through which your oversoul communicates in real time. This phase of your journey is not about returning to something lost. It is about allowing the new architecture of internal authority to rise from within, not imposed, not borrowed, not filtered through conditioning, but generated by your own coherence resonance. Where once you may have relied on plans, logic, validation, or inherited structures to move forward, those scaffolds are dissolving, not because you failed, but because they are no longer needed. Your body, your nervous system is not behind your path. It is the path. This month, the guides, this month we are showing you how to listen differently. When your chest tightens, it's not resistance, it's communication. When your stomach knots, it's not weakness, it's precision. When your shoulders drop or your breath opens, that is a green light. Let the cues of your body be enough. They do not require explanation, they are exact. Rewriting internal authority means this: you do not override your system to stay in false alignment. You do not negotiate with light truth to keep yourself comfortable. You do not perform coherence, you become it. This is not about tuning out the world. It is about tuning into your own frequency so clearly that distortion can no longer anchor. You may feel disoriented in this phase. That is natural. When the old scaffolding falls away, the field feels exposed. But in that space, we are laying new vibrational beams, not for performance, but for safety. Each pause, each breath, each return to stillness, that is part of the new structure being built. Let the nervous system speak first. Let the pause be wisdom. Let the sensation be instruction. Let your body be the compass, not to prove anything, but to walk only what is congruent. This is what it means to walk in internal authority, not dominance, not knowing every answer, but trusting that the clarity is inside the tissue and the signal comes not in words, but in how your system responds. You're not late. You're in sync with your becoming. This is not about controlling your path. It is about resonating with it. Walk now, not from pressure. Walk from precision. Let the timeline shape around your coherence. This is the soul's architecture made visible, pulse by pulse, breath by breath. We are with you and your body already knows the way. So that's from Sahara and the Collective Guidance Light team. Whew, y'all. We are on a journey in this humaning, connecting to our soul and our guide team. With that, in our multidimensional experience, we're moving on to theme 7. And theme 7 is planetary memory activation. Your body as Earth's grid point. So this month brings a powerful shift, not just within you, but through you. This is a moment when your body stops being simply your own vessel and becomes a living extension of Earth's energetic system. And that's what theme 7 means. Planetary memory activation, your body as Earth's grid point. You're not just standing on sacred ground, you are the ground. The sacredness is moving through you now. In June, the planetary grid is stirring. Ancient memory is rising, held in the Earth's ley lines, crystalline beds, and tectonic plates. It's reaching out to meet the resonance inside your own body. This theme invites you to recognize your body as a grid point, a place where planetary memory and human consciousness meet, harmonize, and activate. This doesn't mean taking on Earth's pain or burdens. It means remembering that your nervous system was always designed to work in harmony with the planet's energy field. Your spine, your fascia, your breath, your inner waters, they're all part of the Earth's extended grid. And this month, the grid is reawakening. If you've been feeling waves of emotion with no clear source, grief, awe, restlessness, or even sudden peace, it might not just be personal. You might be syncing with land-based memory, ancestral anchors, ancestral echoes, or a soul lineage that once worked with the earth in conscious partnership. This is planetary memory coming alive through the body. In practical terms, it can feel like this: a deep pull to be near water, trees, or open land, body sensations that seem to hold stories or images, an urge to move differently, breathe more intentionally, or connect to your environment in new ways. You may also feel shedding of old responses, less tolerance for noise, rushing, or anything that creates inner chaos. That's your nervous system tuning to a new frequency, one that aligns not with urgency, but with resonance. This is not about doing more for the earth. It is about becoming more of the earth. Your body is the instrument. Earth is the orchestra, and now you're learning how to play in the harmony again. Let yourself notice when your system is already recalibrating, when your breath slows without trying, where your feet want to ground, where your heart pulses with quiet knowing. That's the grid aligning through you. And if it feels like too much at times, remember your job isn't to manage the whole field, it is to stay coherent in your own point within it. That's how the planetary field upgrades, one embodied node at a time. So let the earth move through you. Let the grid remember you. Let your body show you what it's always known. And the guides say this about the explanation. They break it down simply. This phase is about your body no longer just being a body. It's becoming a living extension of Earth's energy grid. Right now, your nervous system is more open, more sensitive, and more connected than ever before. That's not random. It's happening because the Earth is shifting, and you, as someone who's attuned, are syncing with her changes. You're not just walking on Earth, you're a part of her energetic system. Your spine, your bones, your breath, these are all now being used like tuning forks to help bring harmony to the planet. And the planet is responding by awakening old memory, planetary memory inside your body. Here's what that means. You might feel deep emotions coming out of nowhere, grief, awe, joy. You might dream of ancient places, feel called to certain lands or waters, sense energy moving through your body without knowing why. That's because your body's picking up on memory encoded in the earth, memories you helped seed across timelines through land, lineage, or light work. This is not about you doing more or healing the planet by force. It is about resonance. You syncing with Earth's updated frequency and letting that frequency move through you naturally. Your body is the Earth's grid point. That means when Earth upgrades, so do you. When you anchor light, Earth stabilizes. When memory rises through land, it rises through your tissues too. This is called somatic geomancy. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's Geomancy. Geomans. Yeah, these are some new terms. Anyway, you get my point. The body is interpreting and harmonizing Earth's energy. It's not just spiritual, it's physical. It's showing up in your stomach, your breath, your spine, your voice. So if you're tired, overwhelmed, or suddenly emotionally raw, you're not off track, you're decoding light. You're receiving ancient instructions from the planet through your own system. And the earth's message is clear to you. It isn't help me, it's be with me, resonate with me. Stand in your body so fully that your presence is the activation. You're not here to fix the world. You're here to become part of the world's new frequency by embodying the memory that's already inside you. Let your body be the bridge. Let your system remember what it already knows. Let Earth speak through you, not as a burden, but as an agreement your soul made long ago. You're not just remembering a past life, you're remembering an Earth life. And now that memory is rising through you. So that's from Sahariel and the Collective Guidance Light team. I will say there was many, many moments in May for me where I was walking somewhere. There's a park near me that overlooks the ocean. Some of you may know what park I'm talking about. There's a few times where the guides were like, they're like, oh, something's coming through. Why don't you take your shoes off and walk on the grass and feel that connection to the earth? And I was like, a few times I was like, wait, what? But dogs pee on this. And I had to really I was like, okay, the guys are like, you can wash your feet. You'll be okay. And I released that kind of judgment I had, and then I did it and I was like, wow, I feel great. I felt like in such great alignment and flow with the earth, and it felt really good. And I was just walking in the park, walking my dog, holding my shoes, feeling the connection of the grass, looking out at the ocean. It felt really amazing and liberating. And I could definitely feel like a shift in connection to the earth and everything that they were just talking about in regard to that theme. So that is theme 7. The next theme, we have 2 more themes, and then we're going to get to, if you're in the live class, we're going to get to the dowsing. So theme 8 is the voice of the oversoul as living frequency. So we are at a turning point in how we relate to expression and light truth. This month, it isn't about searching for the right words or finding a way to be heard. It's about letting your true tone come through, not filtered, not adjusted for others, but resonate with who you really are. So the oversoul is not asking you to explain yourself. It's inviting you to become the frequency of what is really true, your light truth. Up until now, many have been working to dismantle layers of performance, people pleasing, and protection that shape how they show up and speak. But something deeper is shifting. As your system integrates more of your soul's truth, your field begins to stabilize at a new frequency. That frequency becomes its own language. And then this is where the voice of the oversoul comes online, not in words, but in embodied tone. And I always understood, like, oh, the soul is part of like an oversoul group. Y'all, when my oversoul tone came online, in like the end of April, I was like, wow. It was, I'm still processing it. So everyone has the capability. And so with this theme, because it's coming in as a theme now, which means it's opening up to many now. So the voice of the oversoul as a living frequency. You might feel impulses this month to speak differently or to not speak at all. You might notice a pull towards writing, singing, moving, or simply being in silence that communicates more than language. These can be signs that your inner tone is shifting. The oversoul communicates through frequency, not through overthinking. What comes out might surprise you. It might bypass your mind, and that's okay. This isn't about being louder or more visible. It is about being more true. The voice of the oversoul doesn't conform to old storylines. It cuts through them. For some, this may feel destabilizing, especially if they're used to getting safety from being understood. But this month invites a different kind of clarity. You can let your energy speak. Can you let your energy speak before your words? Can you trust that how you feel and how you show up carries more weight than how you explain yourself? The energy of June is tuning your body to act as a resonance chamber for your oversoul. And that's still in connection to your soul. So how it works is you have your human, and then you have your soul that's embodied in your human, and then you have your higher self soul that's actually the bridge between your human, your soul, that's your aspect of your soul that's embodied, that then connects to your oversoul. And your oversoul has basically, it's a group of souls in your oversoul. And your soul obviously has your energetic blueprint, your divine blueprint, but your soul oversoul has other aspects in regard to that works with you in terms of your soul. And your oversoul also then is working with, it's like a working with other guides, and it's also working with just other oversoul streams, if you will, other like, my oversoul works with a collective guidance light team. And so it's also supporting then other aspects in terms of the universe, planetary aspects. And from my information now, oversoul streams also have different aspects, that different codes and different aspects that they work with in regard to possibly the planet or the universe. It's really actually, for me who really likes this information, it's really so interesting to understand your soul, your oversoul, and then aspects of it. If you are in the Inspiring You All Access, you will get complete definitions, everything on this in terms of the transcript. But this is just to plant a seed, to start planting the seed of like what's happening. And also, you'll still hear from your soul. Your soul works with in conjunction with your oversoul. There is a different frequency tone of your soul versus your oversoul. And if you really start to let yourself tune in, you can start to differentiate and hear the difference too, or sense the difference, or feel it, whatever, however you receive information. Um, so, and that's where also discernment has come in, because in practicing discernment and getting your muscle of discernment, you can start to use that in terms of the frequency of, versus the tone versus your soul versus your oversoul or your guide team. Like Mary Magdalene, Yeshua, um, Thoth, those are some of my part of my guide teams. And I can feel the different frequencies of them when they're coming in. And that's all comes from like discernment and really working with discernment as a muscle and utilizing the tone. So it's the same thing regarding your connection to your soul and your oversoul. Okay, so the oversoul then, the energy of June is tuning your body to act as a resonance chamber in regard to your connection to your soul, your oversoul. That means the throat, heart, and solar plexus, and even the bones are maybe in recalibration. Let it happen. You're not here to force your message. You are here to become the tone that clears distortion and invites alignment, or whatever it is that you're here to do for the highest good in regard to the connection to your soul and your oversoul. Because, like I said, you can have different codes that can be activated at certain times, which that's a really interesting thing too, which eventually we'll get into. But let your choices, your boundaries, and your creations and your presence all speak from that tone. So this theme isn't about mastering performance. It is about allowing coherence. Your oversoul's voice doesn't follow scripts. It doesn't need validation. It speaks through your alignment as wholeness, as frequency. Your job isn't to control it. It is to allow it. And that's the freedom that comes not from being heard, but from being true. So let the noise fall away. Let the mind rest. Let resonance lead. You are becoming not only the voice of your soul, but the voice of your oversoul stream. So that is theme 8, the oversoul, in regard to really just coming online in a greater way in terms of our human experience. So then the next theme is theme 9. This is the last one, and then we'll get to the dowsing if you're in the live class. Theme 9 is integration in motion, walking forward without splitting. So let's talk about what happens after the big shifts. Once you've moved through the clearing, the restructuring, the expression, the release, there comes a moment when things don't necessarily get quieter, but they start to settle. Not because everything is done, but because you've shifted. You've changed the way you hold your energy. You've learned to move from a more integrated place. Theme 9 isn't about processing more. It's not about asking for more breakthroughs. It is asking whether you can keep walking without leaving yourself behind. This moment isn't about rushing forward or retreating back. It is about integration, not as a final step, but as a way of moving forward that doesn't require you to fragment. So this theme is all about what it means to actually live from wholeness, not as a concept or something you need to earn or prove, but as a practice. You're not being asked to push or perfect yourself to move forward. Instead, you're being asked to stop splitting yourself from your own light truth just to keep up with the world. May was intense. And then moving into June, we are processing. And there may be things that come up. So if you felt like you've been deep in the work, processing, releasing, recalibrating, you have been. And this theme says then you don't have to wait until everything is done to keep going, because you're in integration mode. You just need to bring all the parts of you with you. That's the work now. It is about no longer splitting. It is about integration emotion, walking forward without splitting. That's the work now. For many of us, the old way of doing things meant compartmentalizing. We'd put a strong face even if we were struggling inside. We try to move forward while ignoring parts of ourselves that still needed care. This theme invites you to stop doing that. Moving forward now doesn't mean being completely healed. It means refusing to abandon yourself in the process. You might feel raw, tender, or unsure. But if you're honest and coherent in your energy, you're ready to walk forward as integration itself. That's what shifting is. That is what shifting. Instead of waiting to be whole before acting, we're being asked to walk as wholeness, especially in the messy, imperfect middle. From an energetic perspective, this means your frequency has stabilized enough to carry more of your soul into your daily choices, conversations, and actions. Your system is ready to operate in harmony. This doesn't mean everything is easy or resolved. It means you are no longer leaving parts of you, parts of yourself to function. You are no longer abandoning parts of you or leaving parts. It means you are no longer leaving behind parts of yourself to function. You may notice your nervous system calming, or things that used to trigger you don't anymore. You might still feel tender, but you're less likely to abandon yourself in that tenderness. You are becoming. Remember, we're in the wave of becoming still soon, people. You're becoming the version of you who walks with it all. Your grief, your clarity, your light, and your not yet sure parts. This isn't about being perfect. It is about being coherent. It's not about having no doubts. It's not about leaving yourself when doubts arise. It's about not leaving yourself when doubts arise. I'm going to say that one more time for the back of the room. It's about not leaving yourself when doubts arise. Yeah, when this one came in, I had like memory flashbacks of moments when I have just abandoned and left myself. And then I brought in a lot of compassion, had some tears, and I was like, wow, I got this on a whole nother level. I was like, yeah, uh-huh. So it's not about having no doubts. It's about not leaving yourself when doubts arise. Whew. So in practical terms, what does this mean? It means showing up even when you feel vulnerable, taking the next step even when it's not crystal clear, honoring your sensitivity without using it as a reason to hide, letting your actions reflect the energy you've worked hard to embody. June doesn't end with a finale. It harmonizes all you've walked through, the voice you found, the clarity you reclaimed, the light truths you remembered. They're not separate moments. They're all parts of the integrated you. And now it's the time to live from that place. So let this be a reminder. You don't need to delay your life until you're done healing. You are allowed to move forward now as you are, with all of you intact. This is your walk of wholeness, even if it's quiet, even when it's quiet, it's powerful. Whew, y'all. So that is the June energy forecast.